Okay, well, we're talking about music then. I was having a conversation with someone recently, and you're the perfect person to talk about this
Right.
with, because you've got a specific genre of music that you like, as have a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you like the music of all time. So, you like a broad spectrum of music. But this conversation I was having with someone at work was, and this kind of leads on from the old man thing as well,
Okay.
is that our parents, I'm sure, would have listened to some of the music we were listening to as we were growing up. And, I'm sure at some point every kid would have heard, what's that rubbish you're listening to? And all this kind of thing. Because our parents, thought the music from their time was the kind of music. But my question is this. Are we turning into our parents, or is today's music just shit?
No, it's really hard to comment on this because, one, I'm not a musicologist. It's probably a musicologist subject, but everyone's got their opinion. I don't know. Like, do I think music? I prefer music. Me personally, I prefer music from the 70s. Well, I like all music, but I got a specific genre I like, and it's called yacht rock, and that's like people like Michael McDonald, Toto, and I guess it's a bit more
Rhythm and blues.
Yeah, well, it's a more sophisticated type of pop music, I guess, in the late 70s and early 80s. But so it's hard for me to comment on that because I don't know. I like a lot of now pop music that's out now. Like, I think Clean Bandit are doing really well and stuff, and doing good stuff. But there's also there's some stuff that comes out that I'm not sure is very good as well. Okay,
let's generalize it then. So, do you think that in, say, 20 years' time, people are going to be listening to songs that are being released now with the same sort of enjoyment as we listen to songs that came out, say, 20 years ago? Are they going to be going, oh, this is a great tune? Or is it going to just fade into nothingness because it's all about the singles these days?
I think it's hard to say, but I don't.
Just your opinion.
I don't think so as much. I think there's this golden age of music from. I think it's hard to say because we're not there yet, but I think there's a golden age of music from like the 60s or even 50s upwards to like even like in the 90s. And then there's the internet happened, and there's a bit of a crash in terms of making money out of music. It's a lot harder these days because people don't buy records anymore. They buy CDs and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of money. The record labels have to work out. I guess they make money out of a live gig. So I'm not an expert on that, but I don't think there'll be. I don't see as many classic songs coming out anymore than there was like a few years ago, for example. Like, if you look at the top 10 now, I just think nothing's really grabbing me personally.
No.
Sometimes there's the odd one that pops through, but I don't know if I'm making sense. But
no, you totally are. It's down to personal choice at the end of the day, and I'm not a massive fan of the 1975, but you quite like them.
Yeah, I do like some of their
stuff,
but that's probably because I like their production and I like the sound of their songs. It's kind of got a bit of an 80s feel to it, which as a keyboard player, I don't know, not as a keyboard player, but I just like that kind of stuff, like the programming and the sounds they sort of use.
So you're listening to it more as from a production point, as a this is a great song. You're listening to it as in that's nicely put together. That sounds good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm more into like when I listen to that, I think it's a good song, but is it as good as some of the old stuff? Probably not. But it's what's coming out now that I think grabs me.
I think of it as in sort of anthems. There are certain songs that are anthems, and I think that if I try and go back and think what was the last anthem that came out, and I kind of get back to the early 2000s, maybe Sex on Fire, like it or not, it's one of those songs that everyone belts out. Sex on Fire, stuff by the Killers, Mr. Brightside, early 2000s, I think that was early 2000s.
Yeah.
Franz Ferdinand, Chelsea Dagger, those songs, they're all kind of like early 2000s.
Yeah.
But then since then, all right, you've got Ed Sheeran. He's a great songwriter, and he's still writing good songs. But I think people have stopped writing anthems.
Yeah.
Songs that are going to stand the test of time.
I think what the last thing I really, really enjoyed that came out was Bruno Mars's last album, 24K.
Yeah, because it's got that 80s
Because it's got
feel.
that 80s feel to it, and and I like that type of songwriting as well, and production. But I don't know if people will be listening to that in 10 years, though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas even though it's the same sort of vibe as what it was back in the day, for some reason, back in the day, like in the 80s and 70s, even the 90s, music was, some of those songs just will never be old, I don't think.
Yeah, see, we disagree on this to a point. Rob hates me. Rob hates me using the term cheese, because what he deems as cheese is something I might not, and vice versa. But I like some 80s music. There's a lot of 80s music I do like. I like the Pet Shop Boys, I like Erasure, Michael Jackson. Oh God. I'm not a massive fan of Madonna, to be honest, but you know what I mean. I like and stuff like True by Spandau Ballet.
Yeah,
I can appreciate all those songs. They're great, but there are certain songs that are so 80s that they kind of like only belong in the 80s. There's to the point where like 70s songs, disco, it's still so infectious that it's always played at a disco or like a wedding and stuff like that. But I don't know, 80s just seem to have its own specific style that certain songs were lucky if they even made it out of the 80s because they were so of their time. But you'll totally disagree.
Well, the first thing what I disagree with is when you say cheesy, you say it as if that's a style of music. And this really annoys me because the word cheesy, and I of course, I would definitely admit some of the stuff I like is cheesy, and that's fine. But you say cheese as if it's a style of music rather than an opinion.
Okay.
Like everyone can decide themselves if that song. I might hear a singer-songwriter down the road playing a couple of chords, and I might think that's really cheesy.
Mm.
But you're saying that if it has synths in it, if it has this and it has in it, it's cheese.
Yeah, I guess I expect you to know, but
and that you don't understand that the cheese is not a style of music.
I think it should be.
It's an opinion.
I think there should be.
And it's totally fine if you have that opinion that something is cheesy. There's nothing wrong with it. But you just say it as if it's a fact and a style of music.
And I love that. I love the fact that winds you up so much.
Well, because it's
it's like, but I'm not forcing anyone to think that. But I just that you could play me 20 songs from various eras, I guess. But I think predominantly the 80s because that's where I kind of point the finger, and I will go cheese. No, that's not cheesy.
Again,
that's definitely cheesy.
Yeah, but your opinion.
It's my opinion.
It's all opinion. Again, you say that, and you are saying it in opinion there, but when you talk to me sometimes about it, you will say that's as cheese though, because as if it's like the genre. The genre is cheese, and that doesn't exist.